Next question comes from Hella Ross.
Hi, Governor. Thank you for being here. What exactly is your game plan and specific strategy that you believe will enable you to secure the Republican nomination for the presidency?
One, I'm going to talk about, who I am and my biography. I'm a blue-collar kid. My parents were working class. I make minimum wage jobs just to be able to make ends meet. I wanted to put myself in a position to get an education and do well in life, but 9/11 happened and I felt the call to serve. So I would have made a lot more money. I volunteered to serve in the Navy. I deployed to Iraq alongside Navy SEAL Team 1, served in Gitmo, some other places. And I think that that's important because, when you're running for president, people want to know, like, why are you doing this? Is this about you or is it about something more? And for me, I'm not running to be somebody. I'm running to do something. Every way I've lived my life, there's always been a higher purpose that I've aspired to. And I think that's important for people to know. I'll be the first president elected since 1988 who's actually served our country in a war. And I think that that's something that will be useful service. Number two, I have a record of achievement in Florida that is second to none. How many times do you vote for people where they overpromise and underdeliver? In Florida, I made bold commitments to the people. I followed through on every single thing I promised, and I've actually over-delivered on my promise. Our state now is the #1 economy. We're ranked #1 in education by U.S. News, #1 in net in-migration, and we have paid down 25% of our state's debt. And then finally, I'm the guy that can actually get this stuff done for our country. The border, getting beyond Biden economics, making life affordable for families again, making sure that our military is rebuilt, making sure we're reining in these federal agencies that are out of control. I will tell you I'll do it, and I will get the job done.
Follow up for you, Governor. You get on that debate stage with Donald Trump and he starts to belittle you. How are you going to respond?
So here's the thing. These insults are so phony. These insults are juvenile. That is not the way a great nation should be conducting itself. That is not the way the President of the United States should be conducting himself. So I enjoy the debate. People in New Hampshire have been great. They're opinionated. Let's have those debates about the issues. I'm not going to insult somebody's looks or somebody's dress or something like that. I wouldn't teach my kids to treat people like that. We have a 6', 5, and a 3-year-old. We teach our kids to treat people the way you would want to be treated yourself. So we will have differences on issues. And, one of the things I think about the former president, and I appreciate he did do a lot of great things, and I was a big supporter, but he's running in 2024 on the things that he promised to do in 2016 and didn't do. He said he was going to drain the swamp. He did not drain the swamp, not even close. We ended his presidency with Anthony Fauci running the country. You couldn't even fire Fauci, and so now you're going to go drain the swamp? Give me a break. He said Mexico was going to pay for the border wall. Do you see the border secured? I see people coming in infinitum. He said that he was going to lock Hillary up, just like he's now saying he's going to do a special counsel for Biden 2 weeks after the election in forget about it. Don't worry about it. And then he actually said he was going to eliminate the national debt. He added $8 trillion to the debt. We've paid down our debt in Florida. He did more in 4 years than any president has ever done to expand it. That's the record we should talk about. Don't worry about, how he does his hair, how this, all that. We got to stop with that. And here's the thing, as Republicans, that will cause us to lose if we behave that way. There are millions of voters out there who do not like what Biden is doing to this country. They do not like the direction the country's going in, but they aren't going to sign up for a candidate who is behaving like that. So let's be better, let's look higher, and let's set a good standard for our children to follow.